Welcome to episode 8 of Beyond the Finish Line. Today we have my friend Kristina Harriman. Kris is a trail runner, the co-host of My First Ultra Pod, wonderful podcast, by the way, a key member of the Indiana Trail Runners Association, Team BU, an avid hiker, a seeker of outdoor adventures, lover and advocate of the trail community, and one of the most rad people you will ever meet. And also, feel free to chime in with comments, questions during the chat. We can get to those throughout the pod. And also, please, if you're digging the pod, please subscribe, rate, review the Everyday Athlete Podcast Network or wherever you get your podcasts. The Everyday Athlete Podcast Network is building a fantastic community of podcasts on the ever-growing network. Today is actually our 1-month anniversary, by the way. And we can't do this without your support. So without further ado, I'd like to bring Kris forward and let's have this great chat.
Hey, so fun to be here. I love being on this side of the microphone for a change.
Yeah.
No pressure.
No pressure, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be so fun actually having you on this side of it. Since I guess I want to preface this talk a little bit and like how we actually met each other. So we have a common friend, Chad Sullivan, Hard Prairie Magazine. You had Chad on My First Ultra Pod, and I had just been on volume 1 of Hard Prairie, so I was kind of digging into Chad's podcast and the magazine some more. And me and Chad had become since good friends. And I was listening to My First Ultra Pod with Chad, and you guys were talking about this guy from Indiana in the magazine, you and Carly.
Yeah.
Carly's just as awesome too, by the way. And it was like, hey, I think they're talking about me. So I think I even messaged you. I was like, am I the neighbor in Indiana? Like, yeah. So, and then obviously I had the honor of being on My First Ultra Pod, which is an amazing experience. I have like a few keystone moments in like sharing my story and like, and kind of exploring writing some more, and then my eventual introduction to podcasting. And I consider being on My First Ultra Pod like one of those moments. You know, it's kind of where I really like came out of my shell and shared my story some more outside of like a print magazine or like being in Run Try Mag's newsletter. So I've always wanted a chance to talk to you, and it turns out we're neighbors. And I've since got to meet you, and I've had this like a really, really good time getting to know you. And I've just been jumping at the chance to get to know you more. So here's that chance.
Oh, I love that. You make me feel so good. Yeah, I was just devoured that magazine, and I read your story. And so here's the thing with podcasting, you know, Carly and I have been doing it a while, and I run across people and I immediately get a feeling often where, oh, I want to have them on the pod. I want to know more about them. And that's how I felt when I read your story. So we just had a really cool connection. And I loved coming down to Morgan Monroe and cheering you on for your first 100K. And I love what you're doing. This is awesome. You're really...
Yeah, thank you so much.
And you're involved in the our Indiana trail running community and our Team BU and all these awesome things. So it's really fun to be a part of this. I'm excited.
Yeah, me too. It's been so rad getting to know you. And yeah, so thank you, by the way, for helping me at the finish line of the Momofo. I was on the struggle bus, and that was amazing. I don't know how I would have gotten my drop bag and even got to my car if you and your husband and Charlie hadn't helped me get there. So so I just want to dive right in and just tell us about you. Like, who's Kris? Like, let's start there.
Well, I am in my 50s now, my late 50s. I feel like I really didn't start to discover what I really wanted out of life and who I am until I was in my 50s. And I love the path that my life is going on. Part of that discovery for me was trail running and outdoors. I'm a nature addict. I mean, I love being outdoors, just brings me peace and calm. Trail running changed my life. The people that you meet in trail running and sharing the trails with other people in my life who've been in my life for a long time. I've just had some of the most amazing experiences with people because of trail running. My first ultra was actually when I was 50 as part of Becoming Ultra. So if nobody knows what Becoming Ultra is, Becoming Ultra is a team, it's a program that Scott Jones started. It's where runners apply to run their first ultra, and the criteria is you cannot have run an ultra before, and you're put with a coach, and he does a podcast and documents your whole journey. So for the 2020 season, I believe it was, I was selected as one of the 8 runners across the United States. So that's kind of really where it all started. I had been trail running prior to that, kind of dipping my toes in, but once I got selected for that, it just opened up a whole new world. And being part of Team BU, which is the team of people that he has really put together that support each other and inspire each other and encourage each other to do all these amazing things. So that's just kind of a little snapshot. I'm an empty nester now. I still work, hope to retire soon and have a lot more adventures. Love backpacking. I really am on the trails just about every weekend in some capacity.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for connecting with Team BU, by the way. That's been amazing. I actually kind of keep in touch with Eric Davis
Oh
quite a
yeah.
bit.
Eric's
Yeah.
awesome. Eric is
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. So cool. Me and him are both running the IT 100. So we got that in common. I was kind of scrolling through the sign up. I was like, oh, this is you, right? And he's like, yeah, yeah. So yeah, thank you so much for letting me be a part of team or inviting me to Team BU. So you kind of talked about your introduction into trail running and ultra, but like how did that start? Like when did that start? I know it started, you just mentioned kind of later, but like what was your first trail run, or like when did that moment happen?
So I was a road runner, always doing half marathons. I mean, I think I did probably 10 in 2018. I started to have some problems with my hips and stuff, and I had heard that trail running was easier on the body. So I did a 10K at Eagle Creek, I think in 2018, and I was just, that was it for me. I just kept up in the ante and doing more and more. And then I thought, I heard about this Becoming Ultra, and I thought, you know what? I want to run a 50K. So I had looked at one in Michigan, and then COVID happened, so everything changed. But Becoming Ultra was still going to have a season through COVID. And so I just applied. And then, so I went from, my longest distance on trails was half marathon. So then I went to the 50K. And because of COVID, all races were canceled. So Scott lived in the mountains of Bailey, Colorado at like 8,500 feet. So he put on for all of us runners, the 8 runners, and I think only 6 of us came out. He put on a backyard 50K in the mountains.
Oh,
And
nice.
oh my gosh, no. I mean, it was, now it's amazing, but there was some freak snow and ice storm the night before the race. And we still had it. And I bet I fell 20 times. It took me so long to finish it. And I remember him saying to me, when I think I had 1 4-mile loop to go, I remember him getting like right in my face and saying, this is the hardest thing you are ever going to do. And I really didn't know if I could finish. It was one of those things where I thought, oh my gosh, if I get attacked by a mountain lion or a bear, at least I get to stop and rest. But otherwise I was not stopping. But we all got it done, and it was an amazing experience. So that was my first one. And it was, to this day, the hardest thing I've ever done.
That's amazing. So you said Eagle Creek was your first trail. That was the first trail I ever ran too. Was it the Midnight Summer?
No, it was just, yeah, I know which one you're talking about. No, it was just a 10K. And now, I mean, Eagle Creek is the easiest place to run trails.
Yeah.
I don't even go back there anymore. I love it there, but it's just, it doesn't, once you start running all the other trails in Indiana, it doesn't do it for you, you know? So I don't go back there as much anymore. Sometimes friends want to go back. I like the more rugged trails in Indiana, the ones where you can get a little lost and climb some hills and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, I agree. The only reason I love to go back to, well, of course, it's 20 minutes down the road from my house, but it's just like it's kind of like paying homage to where it all kind of started for me. But like I agree, it's like kind of
Yeah.
once you like, especially down where you live at, it's like once you get down south, it's just like, oh wow, this is like a totally different
Yeah.
experience than Eagle Creek
Oh yeah.
trails. But
Yeah. I need to get back to Eagle Creek because I need to run more than I hike. And that's a good place where you can really get some distance. And I know the Trail Running Club has an awesome group that meets out there. So I need to get back
yeah,
there. I
yeah,
just have,
Tuesday nights become like my family at Eagle Creek.
oh,
But
I love that. Tom and everybody.
Tom,
That's great.
yeah,
Yeah, that's awesome. So after the big one out in Colorado, so I Team BU does races, 2 a year. So I did their next one in Oregon, and then I actually DNF'd at the marathon on that one. It was weird hot, and I was coached up and everything for it, but I got really affected by the heat, so they pulled me out at the marathon mark, and that kind of lit a fire under my butt. I knew I had some hip issues going on, so I hired for my first two. I had trained with Ian Sharman, who was amazing, and then I trained with Scott. And I said, "All right, Scott, I have issues. I can't put in all these miles and be successful. So what can we do to taper back the miles but still be able to accomplish an ultra?" So he got me a lot stronger, and then I did a mountain one in Virginia, which was my favorite 50K I've ever done. So
oh nice.
yeah, it's been a journey. But since then, since having injuries, I thought, well, what can I do to still be out in nature and doing what I love? Because, when you're running on trails, you always think you have to be running, but you don't. There are so many ways to do hard things out there and embrace the trails, and you don't have to run. So that's when I got into hiking and backpacking. And I tell you, some of the backpacking has been some of the hardest stuff I've done. It's been really fun and exhilarating and challenging.
Yeah, I love the pictures that you post, and it's like, oh, I'm missing out. But yeah, that's something I've been kind of. We talked about this a little bit on your podcast. It's like, you know, I I love trail running, but kind of become more to me than just running. It's just kind of being outdoors, and
Yeah.
so hiking something that I definitely want to do more of. And of course, I've got some bigger goals and stuff too down the road, but I gotta get through some other distance first. But
Yeah.
yeah, so talking about the trail running community, tell me a bit about like your role with ITR and like how you got involved with ITR.
Well, I got involved with ITR, Indiana Trail Running Association, when I started training for my first ultra, because they put on training runs for like the Tecumseh Challenge, and they have all this group stuff. And I was looking for a community outside of Team BU that was more local. And so I started going to some races that a lot of the people from ITR were going to. And I started doing the training runs and meeting more people. And I'll never forget going to my first training run. And I walked up to this guy, Steve, and I said, "So I'm training for an ultra. Have you ever done an ultra?" I'm so embarrassed now when I think back, because he's like, "Yeah, I've done a few." I think he's done like 30 or something. I mean, and then it was I was around all these people who've done 100 milers and 100Ks, and here I am, I'm doing an ultra. But anyway, so they embraced me, and I've always been one of the slower ones, but I've never felt like they've always made me feel like I accomplished something, and very supportive. So that's kind of how I got involved with them. And then I thought last year, I think this is my second year on the board, I thought, I need to give back to them what they have given to me. So I joined the board, and I'm not as active as some people, but I do the feature news in the newsletter, and I try to help out when I can. I'm doing the run this weekend at Morgan Monroe. It's just an amazing group of people who really work hard to give Indiana something special. There's a couple people on there that really bust their butts to make that a special community. So I'm proud to be a part of it. And, I'm happy to contribute in any way that I can. And it is nice to have a community here that's local, I
Yeah,
really
yeah,
enjoy it.
yeah. I agree with that. So shout out to Indiana Trail Runners Association. It's been likewise. They've been so supportive, and I'm a back of the packer, and we're talking about Morgan Monroe. I was DFL at that race, and they made just as big of a deal as the last person crossing. I didn't see the front of the pack. Unfortunately, I was too slow, but they still like made this huge deal about me, crawling across the finish line, basically.
Oh,
Basically.
oh, it was so exciting to be there for that. And I got to tell you, I didn't want to tell you that day, but Jack and I were secretly hoping that when we saw that how long it was taking everybody, that you would be not second to last, but last, because I knew you were going to get that awesome award if you were last. And
Yeah.
I knew you would cherish that.
Oh,
Yeah, that.
yeah, it's hanging up behind me proudly on the wall.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, that race was super hard. So even some of the runners that were there doing that race, who I know from other races and stuff, it took them a long time. There, just to accomplish that race was something. Yeah, and running at night, that lit a fire under me, because I thought, I went there for the kickoff of it, and then I was there for people finishing. And the only person I didn't see finish was Eric, because I got there 30 minutes after. But it made me want to tackle my fear of running at night. So I signed up for a night marathon in Ohio in January, where the race starts at 5 p.m.
Oh, and one of them powers.
Yeah, Empower.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
the
Cool. Awesome.
night owl. Yeah. So
Yeah, I
I
saw
thought,
you. Yeah, you had a net on, right? One of your
yeah,
last. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Great.
And
Cool.
it just made me feel like, okay, I haven't accomplished that, and it scares me a little bit to run at night, a lot of it, really, to be honest with you. So I want to accomplish that, and I think the training will help me grow. My recipe is, if it scares you a little bit and excites you, then you should do it. That's my personal recipe. And I don't know always if I'm going to succeed. And I feel like I used to always think, well, if you sign up for something, you have to succeed. And I have learned through my podcast guests, especially Ryan Steiner, failure is in not trying. And I embrace that now. So if I get out there in January and I don't make the cutoff for the second loop, then I got a half marathon in and I tried. So that's kind of how I'm going to look at that. And I'm going to train hard and hope my hip holds up and do the very best I can and accomplish something I haven't done before.
I love that mindset. I'm gonna have to steal some of that and use it for myself.
Yeah.
You had Ryan. So you met Ryan. I got to meet Ryan Steiner this last weekend at a 24-hour event.
I saw that. Yeah.
What an
He is,
amazing. Yeah. He just so inspirational.
I love him. And because of him, he gave me one of the coolest racing experiences I have ever had. Met him on the pod. Carly and I just adored him, and he really enjoyed the podcast. He said he felt very comfortable. It was a great conversation. And then later he reached out to me and asked me if I would do the Indy Mini with him and Kala. So
Oh.
he pushes her in the chariot, and he asked me if I would do, and I was honored. So we started I've done the Indy Mini numerous times. We started in the very front, and he pushed her, and I ran with them through the whole race. And it was an honor. It was the coolest experience I've ever had. It was so neat. So that was a gift that he gave me that I put that right up there at the very top of all my running experiences. So if anyone ever gets a chance to do something with Ainsley's Angels and go with a runner and push a chariot, absolutely do it. It'll be life-changing for you.
Yeah, it's certainly something. It's certainly something I want to do, because I've met a lot of people that have volunteered their time with Aisley's Angels, and it sounds like an amazing experience. And yeah, I got the honor of I think Ryan completed 56 miles Saturday. It was like just positive the whole entire time, and I was like kind of in a bad way at one point. His attitude like uplifted me, like I was just and so inspired by him.
Can you believe the people that you get to meet? That don't you? I don't know if you feel this way, but you may later. But I feel this way, and I know Carly does as well. I take a little piece of all the people that we meet with me. Like there is many times throughout the day. We're on our 3rd year, so we've met a lot of amazing people, and there's many times throughout the day where I think about these people or I think about their hardships, and I'm touched and inspired by what they've given to me. That's why we do the podcast. It's a bucket filler. It's a way that we can put out somebody's story and inspire and give them a platform that hopefully gives somebody else something. So I don't know if you feel that way, but you will feel that way.
It's funny you say that because I just wrote an article today for like my personal blog about my experience so far with podcasting. I haven't like published it, but I shared it with Jason at Bahubandi earlier. And that's basically like one of my things is like, I can't like put a pin in one lesson I've learned since I've been podcasting. But I think paraphrase myself, I did say like, it's kind of what you said. I carry like a piece of everyone that I've talked to with me. So that's funny that you say that, because I literally just wrote like this morning. I woke up and I just like had to write that. So that's so weird that that's what that we're experiencing the same thing. I know I'm still young in the podcast, but yeah, same thing. I can't think of one lesson I've learned so far. It's just I hear something like you just said something that struck me, and like or Timmy Howard, and I carry a little bit of everybody with me. Even eight episodes in so far.
That's great that you already have figured that out this early in the game. And I can't say that I did. I really didn't. When Carly and I started the podcast, looking back, we didn't have our clear why. We knew how it made us feel and what it did, but it took us a while to kind of settle into why are we really doing this, and what do we want to push forward? And now that that's clear and we are on the same page, we've always been on the same page, but we know what we get out of it. It's so fun. It's so much more fun now, And I love that you're doing like the Everyday Joe, because that's where the magic is. I mean, there's big ultra runners out there who are amazing, and they're on a lot of podcasts, but I love giving the people a platform that you don't always get to hear about, who are so inspiring and have such a great story to tell. And that, I think it's really special to do that.
Yeah, I agree. So now that we're talking about the podcast, run us, I guess, through the history of my first ultra pod. Like, how did that come to be, actually?
Okay, so Carly and I met each other at a trail running camp in Colorado years ago, maybe 5 years ago. It feels like forever, because honestly, Carly is my podcast monitor, but she's one of those people that I just connected with, and it's like we've been friends forever. And so you don't get that very often in your later years, I'll just tell you. You got your friends and your old friends, but it's rare to connect with someone like that. So we were at trail camp, had a blast, hit it off with some other people, had so much fun. And it was Scott Jones, who is the creator of Becoming Ultra, the Becoming Ultra podcast, all that. It was his trail camp. So then the next month we were out in Oregon for the 50K. And after the race, we're all sitting around talking, and Carly and I said to Scott, we have a great podcast format for you, because he already had Becoming Ultra. I mean, he's recorded probably 1,000 episodes, but he hadn't done anything in a while with it, just the runners. And we tossed this idea to him, and he said, people do this all the time. I tell you what, you guys have the gift of gab. You just do it. You just run with it. Let me see what you got. He really thought we would do like a couple episodes and grow bored with it. He couldn't believe like that we kept going and going and going. So that's how it started. So we're under Becoming Ultra, but we're the My First Ultra. So it started just My First Ultra. So we would have elite ultra runners on talking about their first ultra. And then it evolved into more than that, bigger stories. So we added the etc. on there. And now I mean, we've had backpackers on there. We've had people who've done, the Appalachian Trail, the Pacific Crest Trail. We've had people that have done all these different interesting things. It's just evolved into something like that. So I often will watch a documentary or run across an Instagram or read something and I get a feeling about somebody and I just want to dig a little deeper into their story. And it's so fun. I get excited when I'm doing the research and learning about people, and it just makes me very happy. So that's how it evolved. That's how it started and how we are here. And I don't know how long it'll go on. We have a lot of cool people lined up right now. It feels right. I don't know. I guess we'll know when it doesn't feel like something we want to do anymore. There'll be a point when everything stops, and that's okay. It's great right now.
For now you're just having fun and just having, and you're having so many great guests on too. So I'm assuming hopefully it keeps going for a while. I'm a fan too. So, and alum, I guess I already mentioned that, but, so this is something we talked about a little bit through text the other day, or I guess last week, kind of getting into hiking and, like training on the Knobstone, and I was wanting you to talk like what do you have planned with that? Any fun hiking trips coming up?
Yeah, and actually in a month, 3 weeks, I'm hiking a 3-day backpacking trip in the Appalachian Mountains. So I'm really excited about that. And I'm training for that right now, which is especially brutal with the heat. Backpacking is something I did my first backpacking trip last year in California with my friend Caitlin. She decided to take my friend Carly and Mariel and myself under her wing and plan this amazing backpacking trip in Big Sur. And she got me hooked. So then last year I did a backpacking trip on the Knobstone Trail. And for anybody who doesn't know anything about the Knobstone Trail, it is the longest footpath in Indiana. It is crazy hard. It is 50 something miles, Joe?
Like I think 20,
it's 58 or something.
58, yeah, I think 58.
About 20,000 feet of gain. It is relentless, up and down, up and down. So I did a 3-day stint on that with an amazing group of guys, and I learned so much about myself. But I decided that's something I want to keep doing. So I planned this trip in the Appalachian Mountains with a group it's called Wildland Trekking. I think it's the company, because I do get lost. I'm not confident enough to be out there by myself. I hope I get there one day, but right now that doesn't feel like where I want to be. So I'm doing that. And then my plan next year is to backpack in Montana, not by myself, but with another group. And then when I turn 60, I want to do Mont Blanc. That is a gift I want to give myself. Yeah, 112 miles. I want to see all that. I'm going to do it. There's no doubt I'm going to do it. So I'm just getting, awesome. I want to get better at it. It is hard. Backpacking is hard to carry that pack around, but it's such a cool feeling when you hike all day with everything you need on your back and you get to your campsite and you set it up all by yourself and you cook your food and you're just detached from everything and you have nature all around you. I mean, honestly, I could cry. It makes me so happy. And then you get up the next day, you pack all your stuff up, you have your coffee. It's such peace. And then you hike to the next spot. I mean, I love it. I love everything about it.
Yeah, that's something I really want to dive more into, is hiking and backpacking. And like just kind of watching your social media and just like, I want to do this. It's like, trail running is obviously like a huge part of my life, but more important than that, just being outdoors. And it's really been calling to me. That's kind of why I started that conversation thread on Facebook or the ITR group, because same thing. It's like I'm not confident in my ability to navigate by myself. I would definitely get lost. Like I could get lost on the Red Loop at Eagle Creek, and I've been running there for a long time.
Oh my gosh, Joe, I swear we're too much alike. I am the same way. It is.
So I was just like,
yeah, it's frightening how I get lost, but I made a pact to get better at that. I still struggle, but yeah, I am definitely in on that in October. Um, and I have mentioned to the Indiana Trail Running Group, to anybody interested in backpacking. I need more people in Indiana to backpack with. I don't know. I don't want to necessarily go out by myself as a woman. I don't know. There sometimes out in our woods, it doesn't always feel that safe. And it's funny because my friend in Colorado, who I recently went out and did some stuff with, Evangeline, she said it's totally different in Colorado. You are so safe when you go out there, and they have a different, I don't know if respect is the right word, but they think about it a little bit differently out there. So I'm always looking for more people to do things like that with. Nature can be appreciated in so many ways. And if backpacking isn't your thing, an all day hike can be your thing. It isn't about just getting out there and exercising. There is something so good for you mentally about moving your body in nature. And I hope that I inspire people, no matter what your age or where you're at on your fitness level, to get out there and do things in nature and experience that, because I know what it's done for me, And it's funny that you talk about my social media and stuff, because I always feel like, oh, I don't want to be braggy, but I thought, you know what, I'm putting this out there because I want to share with other people to do things. And I also like looking back at my posts with my music, because I capture what I felt that day with a song and with my pictures, and it makes me happy. So that's why I do it. But I love that people like to look at it, and I hope it inspires them to get out there and do something in nature.
First of all, Jason says brag away, and absolutely brag away. The pictures are amazing. It's funny that you mentioned the music, because usually when I look at people's posts or whatever, I'm like, what was the song they were using? I'm like, because I do the same thing, right? I mean, it may not always be like the most upbeat song. I mean, I might be going through something, but yeah, it's always kind of cool to see the music choice they have with the amazing pictures. And it's cool, kind of living vicariously through other people's posts. So if it's bragging, then brag away, because it's amazing. I love seeing your adventures and everyone's adventures, and it makes me want to go. That's kind of what lit the fire underneath me. And it doesn't always have to be running, like you mentioned. So yeah, and that kind of brings me to something that we kind of talked about, what we wanted to discuss, and that is meeting yourself where you are in trail running and hiking. So I think that'd be a good segue to kind of discuss that. So let's dig into that, please.
So when I started this, you come from running the roads where it's all, you don't stop, you drink on the run, it's all about your time, and you don't walk, when you're on the road. That's so then when you start doing trails, you still have that mentality. And then you see people hiking up hills, and you're thinking, why are they walking? And then you realize, oh, you have to. And so you kind of got to get away from that mindset. And so then take it to the next step, where you have an injury and you can't run as much. So for me, meeting myself where I am is keeping my body healthy, but still being able to go out there and do what I love and challenge myself. And, if you can't run as much, you can climb hills. Climbing hills on the trails is so hard. Hiking on technical terrain is so hard, but it's so gratifying. And you get a great workout. It doesn't always have to be running. And you can just go out there and go for a walk. it's just, you can just meet yourself where you are. There's always a time to race, but there's always also a time to have some grace with yourself and your body. And I mean, I'm not even afraid to sign up for a race and not run at all. And as a matter of fact, my friend Melissa and I just did a race in Sedona, and we hiked the whole thing. We did not, but we hiked fast, but we did not run. We both had injuries, and we knew we could make the cutoffs, and we felt so accomplished. And there were people behind us even hiking. So my advice would be, don't be afraid to not run. Don't let that, check your cutoffs, check the vertical gain, train for the race that you're going to do, and know what you have to accomplish time wise. And don't be afraid to not do it because you think you have to run the whole thing. You do not. There are plenty of awesome races you can be a part of, and you can hike. Working on your power hiking game is important with trail running. So I don't let that stop me. It took me a while to get there. But that's how I've been able to stay so involved with my hip and everything and still do what I love. I've had to just meet myself where I'm at and have some grace. I'm going to have to run a little bit more when I do that race in January. I mean, but I'm meeting with a coach tomorrow to talk about what I've got going on and training. I mean, there's a chance that I may not be able to make it through the training. But the good thing is I only have to keep a 20-minute mile. So I think I could power hike that with some running, and, the nighttime will slow me down. So I checked the facts, and I'm just going to go for it. So that's what I mean by meeting yourself where you are. And if you can't run, get out there and volunteer at a race. It is so gratifying to support runners, and we all should be giving back. When we're racing and we're using those aid stations and using those trails, you really do need to think about giving back to the thing that you love so much. So if you can't race, volunteer. Do things to still be a part of trail running, because if you stay in it, you're going to be more motivated through your injuries to get back to doing what you love if you stay involved. Once you remove yourself, it's kind of hard to get back in, mentally.
Yeah, I agree. I had the honor of volunteering at an event a couple months ago. It was up north, Trailblazer Running. Shout out to them. I love that crew, and I had so much fun. But I was just scorekeeping that day. It was basically like a backyard sort of feel, and I just score kept all day. And I got to see 10 people run their first ultras, and I got the same buzz that I still got the same starting line vibes. I was just I still got kind of nervous and worked up. So I agree. That was only my first time volunteering. I've got my second opportunity. I'll be at Tecumseh Trail Challenge, but
okay.
I'm making the finisher awards too, so that's going to be really cool.
I know, I saw that. Oh my gosh, that is so awesome. I think I'm going to do one of the distances. I guess I need to start kind of thinking about my plan. I love that race. Love it, love it. And another thing I would say on that note of meeting yourself where you are, do things that maybe you do things with other people to encourage them. Even if you could run a whole race, maybe someone that you want to experience it with can't do the race with them. I mean, I stayed with my friend Melissa the whole time, and it was amazing. I didn't feel like that race was about me. I wanted to see her accomplish that long distance on the trails. So, we were encouraging through our whole training block. And then my partner, Jack, he's a little bit older than I am. We went out to Bryce, Utah, and did a race, a 22-mile race, and he couldn't run it. And I said, all right, we'll do this one together. And we did that whole race together, and it was an amazing experience. And we had a lot of cutoffs we had to meet, but that guy he has a mind set like I've never seen before. And he was just like a goat going up those mountains. He left me. He left me. And he waited for me at the top. But anyway, so those are some of my favorite experiences. And I feel like as women, we need to encourage other women. We don't always have to be the strongest, the fastest. we don't have to always be that. We can be supportive to someone else and get as much out of it as if we, were the leader. I've been with people, women who always have to be first, always have to be winning. And that is the thing. And it's not fun. It's just not fun. It's makes you kind of feel like crap, you know? So I just think that is another way you can encourage other people while also helping yourself.
Yeah. And kind of touching into what you just talked about, that's something I've heard you kind of discuss, women and trail running sports too. That's something I've heard you and Carly talk about with a lot of guests on My First Ultra Pod. And that's like kind of promoting other women in the trail community.
Yeah.
And I was kind of wondering, like, what do you think we can do to do that? Like all of us together, it's all of us that have to make the change, right? To like promote inclusivity and promote more women signing up. And I was kind of hoping that you could kind of touch on that and maybe talk about that too.
Well, I think you have to look at the difference in, and I'm generalizing here because I know there's some amazing men out there who take on a lot, but generally the woman is carrying a load with the kids, with the house, a lot of duties, and working full time and having dreams and goals and trying to accomplish them. So women need help on the back end, because when we have a goal and we feel guilty, like putting the family or some of the priorities at home aside to accomplish our goal. I don't think it should be that way. We shouldn't have that kind of guilt. We live in a world where women should be able to do the things that inspire them and light their soul on fire, because if we can do that, we are better people to give to our families and our friends, and we're just a happier person. So women need help on the back end. We have to, I think there's the percentage of women who do 100 milers is so much lower than men. And I know that women want to do them, but when the training is balanced out with the guilt or the home life, the training goes, so women need more help and encouragement to get them to be able to do these things. And that's just such a personal thing. We all have different lives. I'm not sure when I was raising my son as a single parent, I could have done the things I do now. I wish there was something I could do to help women along. I just, we have this conversation all the time. I'm not sure we have any answers, but you have amazing people like Sarah, who's been on recently, and Nettie and Jessica, who are out there supporting women. So I guess if you're a woman who wants to do something hard, surround yourself with women who do and who will encourage you. Find your community that will lift you up and make you see it's okay. You can have this dream and you can accomplish it. I've seen lots and lots of women with several kids and jobs still get out there and train and still hit their goals. You have to want to do it. And then if you put yourself with the right people, I think you can make it happen. But there's a lot of race directors out there too, really trying to make it better for women in racing. So, I think collectively we just need to do that. I'd love to help Benny grow his 100K with more women. I think he only, I don't know, like 20 women signed up for it. It was low. I mean, was it even that many?
I don't even know if it was that much, but
yeah.
Yeah, thank you for sharing all that. And man, I just have to say, Nettie from Ohio, the documentary, whew, if anybody listening wants to watch, like, you have to watch it. You can't, like, it's, I mean, it got me inspired. And it's so well done. Well, actually, Chad produced it or shot it. I can't remember which one.
No, I think Jessica Vanderbush, who is, they all know each other, but she produced it. And I had read about her, and she's the Eat Clean Run Dirty magazine lady. She's the one who started that. So I had read one of her stories, and then I'm watching that documentary, and then she's pacing Nettie. And so, there we got to meet both of them, and both amazing champions for women. But Nettie, I mean, she is, she's doing the Empower Ultras. Her whole mission with the Ultras is to empower women. And so she makes them so that they can succeed. It's not a journey where you're going to, so that's why I think I'm going to be successful, right? When I go out and do my marathon, yes. She's making it so I can be successful, because she wants you, the women, to feel empowered to go to the next thing. So she's created races to lift women up, which is brilliant. And, she has these rules that she lives by as far as encouraging women. Don't run out ahead of them and then turn around and come back. It just makes them feel like crap. I have had that happen to me, and I know Carly has too. And it's just defeating. Don't say, oh, I only ran 13 miles today, when your friend is, running 5 and feeling amazing. It was very enlightening, because I think on some level we all do that kind of stuff. But yeah, she's got it down, and she's an amazing person. And that it's a short documentary, and you can find it on YouTube, but it is a good one. It's a really good one. Yeah. So she connected me with a couple ladies who started, can't remember the exact name, 100-mile journey for women. So I'm going to talk to them in August. So I'm excited to learn what and they're just a couple more ladies out there trying to get women involved. So it's all about finding that community.
Yeah, I'm excited. I can't wait to tune into that. I love Eat Clean Run Dirty, obviously, and then I love Jessica's podcast. It sounds like I think Jessica mentioned in your podcast she might bring her podcast back, but
I would love that. Yeah,
I don't know. I don't quote me on that, but I thought that's what I understood. But
yeah, some podcasts that we do stick out more than others. And I tell you, there was so much wisdom in her when we spoke with her. And it's because of the life that she's lived. We don't all have it figured out. I thought by the time I'm this age, I thought 56 was so old and I'd have it all figured out and just be full of confidence. But you still have the same struggles, and it just changes. You get a little wiser and a little smarter about some things, but you don't have it all figured out. And that's the beauty of getting older. You're still learning and you're still figuring it out. And so she has all these amazing life experiences that have just made her into this really wise person, and she's paying it forward. So, and I love that. I love that about her. Yeah, we've been very fortunate to meet so many cool women.
Let me just say thank you for sharing all that. It's just something that's kind of been on my mind listening to your podcast. Kind of like things that I can do or we can all do. So thank you for sharing what you said earlier. And it was something I kind of wanted you to talk about. I can't wait to see how you do at the Empower event.
I'll be in the back of the pack.
That's where all the fun is. The party pace is where the fun is anyway. That's what I say. I don't even know if I want to get faster anymore. I'm having a lot of fun back there.
I don't think I can get faster. I mean, at this point in my running, it's not even a thing. I'm just slow, and that's okay. At least I can still do it,
Enjoying the journey, right? That's what it's all about anyways.
Yes, exactly.
Something I want to talk about. First, I need to ask you a random question. We talked a little bit in your pod about going plant-based, and I think I sent you some book recommendations.
Yes.
And I want to ask how's that going?
It's going great. And let me just tell you, I completely changed my eating about 3 or 4 months ago. I can't even remember now. I pretty much don't drink at all, although I have no problem with drinking. I love a good glass of wine occasionally, but I pretty much cut it all out, and I don't have sugar at all, and I don't even want it. So I basically eat whole foods. I mean, really, that's about all I eat. And I feel amazing. Of course, I've dropped fat, but I do CrossFit 3 to 4 mornings every week since last November. And I just thought, why am I working so hard? And I put in a lot of miles. Why am I working so hard and defeating myself with eating? Why am I doing this? I don't feel my best. My energy's not. So I just decided enough is enough. And I changed that, and it's going great. I mean, I don't think I will ever slip back into those old habits because I like where I'm going now. And I'm having a procedure done in January where I really needed to be a little healthier heading into it. So that was motivation for me as well. So yeah, I love that cookbook that I bought. I actually was just looking at it just about right before we started because I was working on I plan my menus a week ahead. And then I go to the store on Friday evenings or Saturday mornings. And so I was just looking. I do find though that I do feel like I do need some meat. I don't know. I can't go totally plant-based. For me, I just feel like I need a little bit. I don't know, but I do think that.
At least
do what?
Sorry about that. Sorry, at least you're trying. Like at least you're trying the book out. That's amazing.
I do love the book. Yeah.
Let me know when you get to the sweet potato gratin recipe in that book. It's so good.
Did. Loved it. Oh, I love sweet potato. I made it with salmon. I know that's not. I made it with meat. I mean, my salmon was on the side, but I did do the salmon. But you know, I think sugar is really the enemy. I mean, sugar is so bad, but it's like a drug. And once you get that, you know, you just want more and more. So I that's one thing I just never want to, I don't want to go back into that. And I'm at the point now where I can have a little bit of ice cream or custard like once every couple of weeks, and I don't slip back into old habits. So, you know, too, being an older runner, you need every advantage you can get, you know, to stay doing what you love. And it's very important to me to be able to go out and hike, or if one of my friends from another state says, hey, meet me here and we're going to hike a mountain or do this, I want to be able to go do those things, right? And you can't do that unless you're taking care of yourself. So, you know, I'm past the point where I can go run for 4 hours and then go have a big cheeseburger and 2 beers. I don't think that's working for me anymore. So, saying goodbye to that.
Yeah, I agree. After my 24-hour last weekend, I ate like 4 bean burritos, and like the next morning I woke up, I was just like, oh, I was like, all right. It felt like I had a hangover. I was just like, that's all right. Those days are gone. Like having midnight bean burritos.
Yeah. You start paying more attention to what you're eating. And, you know, I like getting up at 5:30 in the morning and going to the gym. I love it. And I want to feel good when I get up, and I want to feel bad about what I did. And I don't want to try to outrun or outlift my bad food choices. So I'm on a journey, Joe. I'm just on a journey.
Hey, aren't we all though?
I'm just always evolving, you know, trying to be better.
Yeah, same here. I feel like it's like same thing. I was like, I'm always on some kind of journey, or like, but that's kind of like the beauty of it. I mean, I'm in my mid 40s, and it's like you're always kind of discovering like something a little bit newer about yourself the older you get.
Mm-hmm.
And so same thing. I'm always on some kind of self-discovery mission every time I turn around. But
that's fun. It's fun to be like that. And that's the beauty of all the people I get to meet, especially the ones that are older than me. It's so inspiring because I can take their lessons and apply them to my life. And there's an openness in the trail running community that is like nothing else. You know, I work in banking. I work with lovely people, but it's a whole different world. Okay. You know, and you don't want to be sharing your stuff at work, right? But there's an openness in trail running. I don't know what it is. Is it being out in nature? Is it moving your body? You just bond with people in ways that you never thought you would out there, and you start sharing, and then you make these connections. So it's a beautiful thing, you know, and then you get to learn from other people if you're open to it. So I love that.
Yeah, I agree. You know, people I've ran with for weeks know more about me than people that worked with me for years, and that's also that's what I love about it.
Yeah. And I don't think they probably don't want to know much about us, do they? At work? It's quite fine. It's all good. We'll just keep those things to ourselves.
Well, unfortunately, we're running out of time, and I don't want to take up too much of your time either. So there's something that you asked me on your podcast, and I kind of want to turn the tables and ask you. If I remember correctly, I think the last question you asked me is if you had any advice, like closing advice, what would it be? And I kind of want to ask you that question for my podcast.
Oh, gosh. Okay. Well, I'm going to speak from the angle of being a woman who is getting older, but still has dreams and goals. And I would say to people, man or woman, don't let age stop you. Okay. Start somewhere and just go and see where it takes you. Find a community. Don't be embarrassed. Don't think you're not good enough. If you have a desire to do something, find your people, get your plan together, work for it, and make it happen, because accomplishing goals for yourself will bleed over into all areas of your life, and it will change you more than you can ever imagine. So don't let age, your size, your confidence in yourself stop you. If you have a desire, take a step in that direction. Reach out to me. I will be your biggest fan and encourage you. So just find your people, make your dreams happen, and then see where life takes you. Because when you do hard things, no matter what your age, it affects your whole life in a good way. And then you affect other people. See what your influence can do to other people. So that would be what I would say to people.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. And it's been an absolute honor having you on. I've loved getting to know you.
And we're not done yet.
And we're not done yet. But like you said earlier, it feels like it's like when I got to know you, it feels like I've known you forever. And I just want to give a huge shout out to my first Ultra Pod with you and Carly. Carly's just as amazing too. Carly Hurd.
She's awesome. I love Carly, and I tell you, she's my little. I love her. We travel together. She's my girl. I'm blessed to have a friend later in life like her. So thank you for saying that. That's awesome.
Absolutely. All right. Well, I'm going to wrap the show up. But
okay. Well, thank you so much for asking me to be on. I so it's fun to be on this side of it, and I love what you're doing, and I love the vibe you're putting out there, and I just you're doing things that are really making a difference. Your writing is amazing, so keep doing your writing. Yeah, you have a gift with writing for sure. So
thank you so much. That means a lot to hear that. And I just want to say thank you for tuning in. We can't do this without you. So this network does not exist without Friends of the Pod. And thank you so much, everybody. And I'll see you next time beyond the finish line.